The man accused in last Friday's mass shooting at that Aurora movie theater, James Holmes, sent, now get this one, a notebook full of details about how he was planning to kill people to a University of Colorado psychiatrist before the attack occurred. Was it a cry for help? Was it some kind of an arrogant boast? We may never know. The notebook itself was mailed to the professor and sat unopened, unnoticed, ignored, lost, misplaced, whatever, in a mailroom for as long as a week before it was found on Monday. I don't have to tell you what might have happened had that been found. Maybe none of this horror would have occurred. We just don't know. We do know there are many, many unanswered questions about Mr. Holmes. His family has clear, unambiguous ties to DARPA, mind control programs, mind manipulation, neural issues, studying how the mind can be programmed. Part of a program to come up with a super soldier for the military, the Pentagon, among other things. This thing is obviously dripping with potential for all kinds of machinations, which hopefully will come out in time. The Internet, of course, is abuzz with all kinds of rumors, claiming this, claiming that. We don't know what to think, but we do know there is much more to be found and much more to be ascertained. To talk about the whole issue of violence in society, where we're going, and quite clearly this has been coming on for some time. We've had a number of mass shootings over the last 5 to 10 years. It's as if the society itself has been retooled and somehow reformatted to produce psychopaths. Add to that the obvious potential of false flag operations to scare the public and, as usual, see the introduction of gun-grabbing laws, and you understand the game here. It's wide open. The sheep don't have much of a chance, so we do our best to bring the information to you. And one of the men I know very well, he is a friend of all of ours now. He has contributed mightily to helping us understand what's going on. He, of course, is Gerald Celente, the master of trends. Hello, Gerald. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jeff.
It's crazy out there. Well, you called it long ago.
Well, you know, one of my sayings is when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it.
Yep.
And you mentioned the word, psychopaths. The fish rots from the head down. Why is this any more atrocious than starting wars against innocent people for fake reasons and killing over 1 million of them?
Well, we've been killing in Afghanistan alone for 12 years now.
Yeah,
at least Iraq, 1 million, if not 2. The same 1 to 2 million minimum in Iraq. We're killing people still in Libya. We're killing people in Syria as we talk. And I mean, you and I, folks, it's our tax dollars that are being used to perpetrate many of these horrors, many of them.
So why should it be a surprise? It's what society has become. And there's no, there's everywhere you look. I stopped over to see a friend in a health food store, a good guy, I really like him. And he started going off on Romney,
Mm-hmm.
And I started pointing out things about Obama. I said, how about a wonderful, terrible Tuesday, where Obama picks out people from a list of who they should assassinate in foreign countries with drones.
Right.
Of course, the first reaction is, well, would you rather have Romney? I said, you're not answering my question. And how many killings does it take to make a mass murderer? And the people don't want to face it.
No.
And it's they're people are living a lie, and they just don't want to. They're caught up in their heads, and from the neck down is dead. There's no heart and there's no gut. And when we're looking at what's going on with this Batman movie, I was a kid, I used to watch Batman on TV. I love Batman.
Sure.
I mean, do you remember how benign it was? I mean, they were like cartoon characters.
It's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Guys,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, nice guys. And look how dark they've made it. Look how angry it is.
He's evil.
Look how hateful and spiteful and deadly it is. And look at the video games. Are you saying that just because everything is violent and to the point of violence being pornographic, that it has any effect on people? There's no scientific evidence. Yeah, like there's no scientific evidence that if you dump trillions of gallons of poison into the water, it doesn't poison the water. There's no scientific evidence that if you pump trillions of pounds and tons of toxins into the air that it causes any damage. There's no evidence that if you chemically fertilize the food, GMO it, and take all the life out of it, it has no effect on you. So it's the same thing. This is a poison. It's mind poison, and society has been poisoned.
Sure. We're living in an age that I'm going to call the age of denial. We could go on from that, of course, but not only do people deny things, they don't actually have much of a chance anymore to even synthesize data and come up with a pragmatic, logical scenario of what they're dealing with. They don't know. They stare at the tube and they think they're informed. They look at a half-hour newscast. 21 minutes of it maybe is, quote, news. Most of it is talking heads, carefully crafted and sculpted to meet the needs of the owners of the media outlet. And we know who they are and we know what they're about. And so the sheep stare at this stuff, and they're being controlled and programmed in ways that Gerald and I and many of you folks at least have a clue about. It's called electromagnetic invasion of the brain processes. They know how to pump this stuff into the mind. They can create any basic human emotion they want at any time at distance. And God knows what they're doing through direct contact, through 150 or 250 cable channels, which go on all the time. And then we've got the internet on top of that. So good luck.
Well, you know, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with it, but this goes way back. We're coming out with the Summer Trends Journal at the end of this week. And I begin it with the story, Haunted by Hitler. And I may have mentioned this to you, I'm sure I did. Mm-hmm. Since I've gotten back from Berlin, I've been haunted by what I saw. And to me, Berlin was grander than Paris. You and I talked about this. You even sent me photos.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, how could the Germans let a two-bit freak destroy them? They'll never be the same over there. It is never the same. What took centuries to build is destroyed.
Right.
And so is the spirit over there. I see it in the people. It's not the same country. And then, as I said, you know, both of us were Italian. You know, with great heritage. I mean, not for nothing. You know, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Puccini, Rossini. You go down the list. Caruso. Mm-hmm. I mean, Galileo. The Italians. How could they let a cartoon character like Mussolini destroy them? It is before all of this. And now here we are today. Who do we have? Bush and Cheney. You want to see two cartoon characters? Yeah. Two two-bit freaks? Couldn't draw up two better ones.
Couldn't.
How about Obama and Romney? You want to see a freak show? So this is what is haunting me.
And your friend in the health food store steps up and basically he almost defends Obama. One of the most heinous...
almost defending him.
Yeah,
as I'm pointing out the atrocities.
There you go. Well.
So it becomes this, Jeff. Why don't you believe in the freak that I believe in? How dare you not believe in my freak?
My freak's better than your freak.
Exactly. And my freak is the lesser of two evils of the freaks.
Got to support him. Yep.
And so what is haunting me, and that's what this Trends Journal, and great illustrations by Anthony Frida, genius. What's haunting me is that what is it in the human spirit that allows people to lose their courage, their dignity, their respect, their integrity, and their passion, and follow freaks to their death? Because this is not an intellectual, philosophical conversation. It's a fact.
You bet.
All aboard, next train to Auschwitz.
Absolutely. All right, you heard the new Trends Journal is just about out. I would urge all of you to click on Gerald's name. Go there and sign up for it. It'll be out next week. These are keepers. These are the kinds of things you want sitting on your coffee table, not just as decorations, but to read and enjoy and share. Be right back. Okay, back and talking with Gerald Celente. You know, the same thing that happened to Iraq, that was inflicted upon that wonderful country of Libya, is now being done to Syria, the so-called Free Syrian Rebels. Get that, folks. Western Zionist media propaganda. Free Syrian Rebels. Let's translate that to reality. Boots on the ground, UK, US, and French special forces directing imported killer mercenaries from all over the Middle East, otherwise known as Al-Qaeda, and those who freed Libya. They're the same people. They're murderers, they're butchers, and they're all being subsidized by your tax dollars and the tax dollars of the UK folks and the French folks, too. This is all despicable beyond measure. The Russians are standing up, at least verbally. We'll see what happens. I don't know. But how is it, Gerald, and I know the answer to this, it's a rhetorical question, how is it that Americans can watch the same savage, genocidal butchery over and over and over again and do nothing but scratch their butts, crack open another beer, and turn on the ball game? Is that what's left of America? It seems to be so.
Well, again, as we mentioned, when you look at the tragedy in Aurora, Colorado, and you look at the tragedies that the United States is inflicting around the world, different kinds of mass murderers for different reasons. And how can anybody support what's going on in the Middle East? The United States destroyed Iraq. It's destroyed Afghanistan. There's turmoil everywhere the United States has put its footprint in the Middle East, and it's going on again. And people have lockjaw, and they buy into the propaganda. Let's replay this tape. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Assad has chemical weapons that he's going to unleash on his own people, and they're going to use them against foreign nations.
Right.
I mean, does that sound familiar? I mean, it's just, and yes, chemical weapons. How many nuclear warheads does the United States and Israel have? The UK and France? Tens of thousands when you add them up.
Correct.
This guy has World War II vintage or World War I vintage chemical weapons.
Hey, you got mustard gas. Come on.
Yeah, just pull these up. These are actually from the Transdrome because we're writing against it. Here's what we wrote.
Yeah.
This time it was Syria's arsenal of weapons that America and its anti-Assad allies were using to instill fear, hoping to generate support from their war-weary, economically battered public for yet another military intervention. It was classic propaganda 101, and then we run the headlines. Syria chemical weapons. Obama says world is watching. BBC.
Mm-hmm.
Israel in tough warning over Syria weapons cache. Agency France Press. Netanyahu. Hezbollah may get chemical weapons if Syria collapses. Reuters. Now Syria raises the specter of chemical weapons. The Independent. So there you see it. And we write, once again, the first casualty of war was the truth. Yes, Syria admitted they had chemical weapons. No, the Assad government claimed they would never use them against their own people. Yes, there was an outside chance that if Syria was attacked by a foreign force, they, like anyone or any nation under attack, would use all means at their disposal to defend themselves.
Wouldn't you, folks, every one of you out there? Of course you would.
So there you got it, know, and that's what we've been writing about. And we show how they're getting the people's mind off the economy.
Yeah, what
and then
economy?
We go on here.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was the terror threat that was helping push the economy out of the news. When 5 Israeli tourists were killed in a bus bombing in Bulgaria in July, the U.S., Israel, and the media, without providing any tangible evidence, immediately blamed Hezbollah and Iran for a combined planned terror campaign against Israel and Jewish targets.
Here we have it really is a privately owned enterprise. They call it the State of Israel. It's a function of the Rothschild International Banking Cartel, headquartered in the city of London, that sovereign 2-square-mile area, where the nerve center of the financial world terminates. It's all there. It begins and ends right there.
It begins there and it goes worldwide. What people are missing with the whole European debt crisis is that what has come out of it is a centralization of banking and pushing it all up into Brussels, so that it continues to spread, so that the European Union now, every nation within the Eurozone is losing its sovereignty. The banks won't be under their own control. The same thing will happen in Europe as happened in the United States. The Federal Reserve is taking over. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 of the Constitution prohibits anyone but Congress to print and distribute money. But now we have the Federal Reserve. The same thing has happened in Europe. So the Rothschilds have spread far and wide. It is far beyond the city of London.
They have done this with malice aforethought. They've been planning it for hundreds of years. We know how they took over Britain with one false report from the Battle of Waterloo. Very smart. These people are brilliant. They have now their own company, and it's really called a state. It's a company state is what it is. It's the world's third, maybe fourth ranking thermonuclear power. Absolutely nothing to fear. They, by and large, own and have penetrated most echelons of this country, governmentally, financially, socially, you name it. These people are very smart. They are controlling most of everything that goes on. Now, for the average person to understand or accept that, and I don't care if these people would be Hindus or Chinese or Irishmen or South African, it doesn't matter to me. The facts are the facts are the facts. We are being controlled by a very small handful of brilliantly, deadly, manipulative, cutthroat, genocidal maniacs who run the world financial system. Only 3 countries are not controlled by a central banking system, and that central banking model is the Rothschild model. That's where it all goes, into the World Bank, the IMF, and the rest of it. Those 3 countries, the only holdouts, Cuba, North Korea, and Iran. Iraq was free, Libya was free, but now they're destroyed. Be right back. Okay, we're back. Just to underscore what I was saying at the break there, what was the first move, the first official proclamation announcement by the so-called rebels in Benghazi, Libya, when they took the eastern city? The first announcement was that the brand new Central Bank of Libya was now open for business. The Central Bank of Libya. It's all about the Rothschild central banking system. That's how they control the countries. It's not a mystery. Over here, it's called the Federal Reserve. It doesn't matter. Same old, same old. Nothing new.
You know, it's if people would think that you and I talked before I went on the air, and of course we didn't. We didn't know what we were going to talk about, and this conversation is just going in this direction. This is from the Trends Journal. And we're writing about how the banking system is taking over. Sovereign debt crisis, Spain, Greece, Italy, Bankia, Eurobonds, LIBOR. There was just too much going on for most of the people to understand what it meant. Both the specialized financial language used and the labyrinth of Machiavellian business practices described were profession-specific and beyond the comprehension of those unschooled in it. It was not that it was in any sense a secret. It had been divulged almost 200 years ago by Mayer Rothschild. Quote,
Yeah.
The few who can understand the system will be either so interested in its profits or so dependent on its favors that there will be no opposition from that class, while on the other hand, the great body of people mentally incapable of comprehending the tremendous advantage that capital derives from the system will bear its burden without complaint and perhaps without even suspecting that the system is inimical to their interests.
Yeah, there you go. Like I say, they're brilliant people. They know. They understand mass psychology, and especially when they own the media, My God. And then the education system, they literally create the walking idiots who respond to the broadcast idiocy. It's perfect.
Exactly. But again, this is written 200 years ago.
Yeah.
It's written 200 years
Hard
ago.
to believe. No
Because,
computers,
people,
folks.
you say
No
LIBOR.
Radio. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you say the word LIBOR. People would know what a LIBOR was if it got, hit them over the head.
Nope.
And it said, that the system is inimical to their interests. And here's what else he goes on to say. You ready for? Whoops,
oh yeah, I know this. Go ahead.
You know this next quote, right?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
I don't give a damn who they vote for. Just give me the right to control the money, and then do whatever they want.
You got it. Let me issue and control the nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. And so we have it now. The people have become vassals to the bankers. Yeah. The greatest bank robbery in world history is unfolding in front of us, and of course, the banks are doing the robbing.
Yep, and the sheep line up. Just amazing what they do. And they without the 2 or 3% who really get it in this country, it would be so grim I couldn't even begin to do the work I do, and Gerald as well. Reaching out to the great masses who just don't get it. And honestly, and I'm not speaking as an elitist or anything, they just don't have the tools. It's not their fault. They weren't given the tools. The tools were not provided to them through the government schooling system, so what we have is what we have. They just can't do it. But those who can assume, therefore, an enormous responsibility to do it, to make the effort and not sit back on their butts and do nothing. They've got to become aware, and they have to help transmit, transfer, and vector the truth and reality to those who still have the capability and the interest of learning. Otherwise, it's totally over.
I know.
Now look here. Here's another story. United States Air Force the last time you were on, one or both of us mentioned, probably both of us, that within the next 3 to 4 years, they say 5, I say 2 to 4, every major center in this country will have drones flying overhead. Every damn one of them. Of course, they're not going to be armed. Ha ha. That's coming. Count on it, folks. The Air Force is now beginning to test drone-fired aerial lasers, air-to-ground lasers for killing and destruction. They're testing those over North Dakota now. So it'll all be done with lasers. It'll all be done with listening posts on street signs and street lights. They'll have everything monitored and wired and cams everywhere. The smart, intelligent lamppost will be the rule. And then those fake palm trees and fake trees will hide all the cell phone towers, which are not just used, ladies and gentlemen, to transmit and receive incoming and outgoing cell phone communications. They're being used to do all kinds of things with electromagnetic fields, energies, and frequencies, because they know we are electrical first and chemical second as living beings, that people haven't a clue.
Yeah, and it goes, of course, who are these people that are monitoring us? Like people like that guy Chertoff, who used to be the Homeland Security.
Well, he's selling his backscatter X-ray death machines now, and they're putting them in vans and driving them down streets and blasting the car right next to him full of kids.
I know.
And no one says anything.
No one, and this is the point of what I'm saying. It's not only being brainwashed by the media. This has been going on for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
That people do not have the dignity, the self-respect, the courage, and the integrity to stand up to the power and say, stop. No. And what's astounding, and you said it before, I wrote down a little bit what you were saying, that we are being controlled by a small group, and you were going on to say how small this group is. And that's this small group, and then there's all of us. And what is it that stops all of us from being led by the small group? That is what is the question that's pondering in my mind continually since I've got back from Germany on August 17th.
Right.
I landed in Germany, I should say.
Well, Meyer Amschel Rothschild knew. He knew, the people around him knew, and they've passed that knowledge on down. That's why they've taken over education systems. That's why The people just don't, as I said, Gerald, and
what
you know
is
this.
it? What is it in the human spirit that allows people to be subjugated like this and actually be led to slaughter obediently?
Right.
Not only even obediently, but picking up arms to die for their freak.
All true. My freak's better than yours.
No, he's not.
It's amazing.
Mine's the lesser of two evils.
It's truly amazing.
Can you imagine voting for a lesser of two evils?
No.
Or putting a lesser of two evils in your life?
No. I'm sad when I look around me. I taught high school for a couple of years, and you know, some of you listening were teachers and educators, and maybe some of you still are, and you know what you're up against. These poor kids, 4 and 5 years old, are already brain damaged, drugged out. What do you got to work with? There's some wonderful exceptions, but the majority is firmly in the hands, from cradle to grave, of those who would subjugate, bleed, drain, and ultimately annihilate them for their own profit. Be right back. Now here's some news that really ought to make the average American angry as it can possibly get. There's a story preceding the one I'm going to quote here. Pentagon cyber chief downplays NSA email snooping. See how they call it snooping? That's kind of cute. Snooping. Says attack is coming our way. See, that's how they do it. Now here's a story from RT, which I really generally like. But look how they phrase this. The headline is okay. NSA whistleblowers say government spying on every single American now. All right? That ought to alarm the hell out of you. The TSA, DHS, and countless other security agencies have been established to keep America safe from terrorist attacks in post 9/11 America. Ugh.
Well, they're doing a good job. There hasn't been one since.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, they had the underpants bomber. They had a shoe bomber.
Yeah, they got the biggies. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, if that guy's underpants went off, you know.
Yeah.
And, of course, he needed electronic ignition. Yeah. And there's no way it could have gotten on.
He had a book of matches.
Book of matches. Yeah. Hey, you know, I think we should ban books of matches. And, again, it's the merger of state and corporate powers. It's called fascism. And when you look at how they're clamping down on the people, and again, let's go back to the greatest bank robbery in world history, where the banks are doing the robbing. You saw Robert Diamond from Barclays, who got caught in the LIBOR scandal. Oh, I'm sorry, he resigns. Any time for the cat? Nope, not brought up on any charges. How about John the Slime Corzine, MF Global? Can't find $1.6 billion. Hey, man, don't know where I put it. I saw it yesterday. You know, I had it with my keys. I don't know where it is. He doesn't get called up on any charges, does he? No. So what they do is the fascists that are running the show use all of their power to keep the people under control. It's Animal Farm.
Well, they're running.
All it is.
That's right. They're running DHS everywhere. TSA is going into bus terminals next, train stations now, and they're going to start setting up what, folks? Floating roadblocks on the highways, right? DHS roadblocks. They're going to make us safe from the motorists next to us. And as Gerald said, they've really caught some whoppers since.
Oh yeah, you know, and of course. United States foreign policy, they just love us all over the world. You know, you send bombs into Yemen, you support dictatorships in Saudi Arabia. Oh, not a dictatorship, I'm sorry.
Be careful.
He's a king.
Watch out.
Kings are good. Kings are nice. Emirs are good too. Dictators are bad unless they're on our side. You know, I mean, come on with this stuff. You know, I hear these women talking about why we should be in Afghanistan because of how brutally they treat the women. It's not the reason we were going there, but be that as it may, how come I don't hear him screeching about what's going on in Saudi Arabia? You can't even drive a car. Oh, because he's a king. I read a fairy tale. Kings are nice. You know, they live in castles.
Kingdom.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. Happy kingdom.
Yeah. The hypocrisy that is going on is really...
I agree, Gerald. I don't know if I'd even go so far as to be kind enough to call it hypocrisy. That suggests knowledge of forethought. These people are just damn dumb. They're dumb as a bag of rocks. So the hypocrisy is unintended, it is stupid, it is unwitting, and it is laughable. Hypocrisy to me suggests, again, malice of forethought to some degree or another. Deceit, deception, whatever.
Well, no, I'll tell you why I think it's hypocrisy.
Well, it is hypocrisy, but
I'll tell you where I see the hypocrisy. And I agree with what you're saying. A lot of them are dumb. You know, I have a line that conservatives believe and liberals lie. Conservatives believe, these arch right-wing conservatives believe things like, you know, we got to kill all them Muslims. If we don't kill them over there, they'll kill us over here. They actually believe that.
True. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now I tell you about my friend at the health food store.
Yep.
He's liberal. He's a liar. I could point out to him all the atrocities that Obama's committing, that if Bush was in power, they would be screaming bloody murder. But they'll make up excuses and divert the question, rather than the answer, rather than answer it. Then they'll say, well, what would you rather have? You know, Romney than Bush, than Obama? Like with the same thing. What would you rather, vote for McCain? So what they'll do, they have the intellectual capacity to know that they're lying. And that's what, to me, makes them hypocrites. But they won't admit that they've been conned. You know, whether it's Jesus, Muhammad, or Buddha, the Quran, or the Bible, there is no salvation for the hypocrite. Because even if you're a murderer, if you believe, you know, in penance and really genuine sorrow for your sins, according to a lot of religions, there is that salvation. But if you are a hypocrite, there is no salvation, because there is no penance, there is no sorrow, there is no admitting to. So to me, they're hypocrites in so many ways, and hypocrites are more dangerous than stupid people.
I agree. Yep, the hypocrites have sent more people to their deaths on this planet than any other group, probably. They're right there at the top.
Yeah.
That's a good line about kings, though, and kingdoms. I like that.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're nice. They you know, and look what's going on in Bahrain. They're slaughtering the people. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got, you know, people from Bahrain have been emailing me, thanking me for pointing it out, that the only reason that no one's saying anything there is because the Fifth Fleet, the U.S. Fifth Fleet, happens to be stationed there, and it's our buddy, the Emir, the good old Emir. They've been, you know, running this show for, about 40, 60 years. Under other circumstances, of course, they'd be a dictatorship. And people are thanking me, and one person wrote me and said that they had a lot of information that's not making the media. Would I like to receive it? This guy starts sending me stuff, and it's classified information that he's saying is on the internet, and it's in Arabic, and he's breaking it down into English. I wrote back to him right away, said, stop sending me anything. I said, under the new laws signed by President Obama, the National Defense Authorization Act, I can be accused. I don't even have to be accused. I can be charged. Actually, no charges. Don't have to do anything. All I have to do is say that I am communicating with terrorists. Right. And I'm a national threat.
Oh, yeah.
And with no judge, no jury, no charges.
Oh, you're convicted. You're done.
I'm gone. I'm gone. The military could come and take me away. So I asked them, please don't send me anything. I'm afraid to receive this information. Because they will definitely use it against me.
Yep.
But going back to it, no one's speaking about the slaughters that are going on in Bahrain. And what's really also going on in Syria, and no one's speaking about this among the prostitutes, of course, and Dr. Paul Craig Roberts wrote about this in our spring 2011 Trends Journal about why the United States is so intent upon bringing down Assad in Syria? And it's very simple. Because Assad's greatest ally is Iran.
Iran, yeah.
And who's Syria's greatest ally that they've helped? Hezbollah in Lebanon.
In Lebanon.
And what people forget is that Israel got its clock cleaned in the last Lebanon war. And that's because Syria and Iran supplied Hezbollah in Lebanon with armaments and strategies to help defeat the invading Israelis.
The armaments, by the way, were 30, 40-year-old Cold War anti-tank weapons.
Yeah.
That the Syrians, the Lebanese, very bravely stood up and used. And kaboom.
And so that's what this is all about. It's about bringing down Iran. Syria is only the minor player in it. And also, the Syrian port is the only port in the Mediterranean open to Russian ships.
Right.
And as we also know, of course, with Libya, you mentioned the central bank that they never had, and the controls that they didn't have, and they had their own currency, was that there were in excess of 30,000 Chinese there building the infrastructure of Lebanon, and also their oil infrastructure.
Right.
So all this ever has to do with is about oil, power, greed, and money. That's the end of the game.
Take a look at your food, ladies and gentlemen. We've been spending a lot of time on the program, Gerald, telling people about the drought, where food prices are going. But in the background, of course, we have the big M, Monsanto, continually pushing this GMO death, and it is, on the consuming idiots. These people have got to learn not to touch anything that's GMO. They just have to fight back. Now they're pushing GMO apples. Right? After setting their sights on creating...
They won't get brown.
Yeah, no more apples, so it stops the enzyme activity in the apples. You don't get the enzyme.
Look what the people look like. There's a fat that people have now that never existed before. I've never seen anything like this. And by the way, I have to correct you. Food prices are not going up. Don't you know that you don't add food and fuel into the core inflation index?
Oh, that's right. You're right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
About that.
I mean, that happened under Clinton.
More lies. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't put food and fuel into the core inflation index because they're volatile and they skew it to a way that we don't have to give people any cost of living increases, and we could screw them out of every last penny that they have. So say that little SOBs from Princeton, Harvard, and Yale. Yeah. And I keep saying this, Jeff. If you want to know 6 words that's destroying America, it's Harvard, Princeton, Yale, bullets, bombs, and banks. And the rest of you people out there that ever think you're going to get into the club, you're dreaming.
A nightmare, folks, and you don't even know it. Trendsresearch.com. Trendsresearch.com, the home of the Trends Research Institute, Gerald Celente's wonderful publication, due out, what, in a week, you said?
I'll be out the end of this week.
All right. Thanks, my friend. Always great.
Thank you, man.
Take care.
Okay.
Gerald Celente, the master of trends. We'll be right back.